The sun was blazing over the city when Rayan Hale sprinted down the steps of the community center, clutching a folder of unpaid bills like a lifeline slipping through his fingers. Sweat dripped down his neck, not from the heat but from panic. His daughter's school had just called. Late fees were overdue, and unless he paid by tomorrow, 8-year-old Mira wouldn't be allowed to attend classes. As he rushed to the curb, distracted, exhausted, and desperate, he yanked open the door of a sleek black SUV waiting at the entrance, slid into the back seat, and blurted, "Please drive fast. My shift starts in 15 minutes." But the moment the car pulled forward, and he looked up to meet the eyes staring at him through the rearview mirror, the breath left his lungs. Because the woman in the front seat was not an Uber driver. She was Aria Lennox, the billionaire CEO whose face had seen on every business magazine in the last decade. If you believe in kindness, unexpected blessings, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Tales. It helps these stories reach more hearts. Rayan froze, his body stiff with embarrassment, but the car was already moving. Aria glanced back, her expression unreadable behind her sunglasses. The driver, unsure, looked at her in the mirror, silently asking if he should stop, but Aria slowly raised her hand, signaling him to continue. Something about Rayan's trembling hands, the panic in his voice, the desperation he wasn't trying to hide. It made her curious. She simply asked where he needed to go, and in a stunned whisper, he answered. The entire drive was saturated with the heavy silence of two worlds colliding, one made of polished glass towers, the other made of peeling apartment walls and overdue notices. Rayan could only pray she wouldn't have him arrested for mistakenly entering her car. When they reached the small grocery store where he worked as a shelf stocker, Rayan tried to apologize, but his voice cracked. Mid-sentence. He could only manage a muttered thank you and a clumsy exit. But before he stepped out, Aria noticed a drawing slipped from his worn backpack, a crayon sketch of a little girl holding her father's hand under a bright sun. She didn't know why, but something inside her softened. That evening, after his shift ended, Rayan walked home through the fading daylight, counting the coins he earned. They barely made a difference. Mira was waiting outside their tiny apartment, wearing her hand-me-down shoes and a smile too big for her small face. She ran into his arms talking about school, friends, and how she saved half her sandwich for him because she knew he hadn't eaten breakfast again. Her innocence, her hope, it kept him going. He tucked her hair behind her ear, promising her everything would someday get better, but deep down, he feared breaking that promise. Meanwhile, Aria sat in her penthouse office, staring out the window at the golden skyline. Her life was measured in profits, deadlines, and expectations, yet her mind kept drifting back to the stranger who mistakenly stepped into her car. Not because he was interesting, but because he looked like a man carrying his whole world on weakening shoulders. She'd never forgotten the feeling of being alone with burdens too heavy to name, before she became the empire everyone admired. The next morning, fate intervened. Rayan was hurrying to deliver groceries when he slipped on the curb, scattering bags everywhere. A car stopped, and heels clicked against the pavement. When he looked up, he saw her again, Aria Lennox, in a crisp white suit under the bright daylight. For a moment, the world stilled. She knelt beside him, helping pick up fallen apples, her movements gentle, not rushed like one would expect from a billionaire on a packed schedule. He tried to protest, but she insisted. And when she asked if they could talk, Rayan nearly dropped the bag again. Inside a nearby cafe, Aria listened, really listened, as he spoke. Hesitantly about Mira, lost jobs, rising bills, and the stubborn hope that kept him fighting. There was no pity in her eyes, only a quiet admiration. She ended their conversation with an unexpected offer, a steady job in the logistics wing of her company, not charity, but recognition of potential. Rayan's voice broke as he accepted. He walked out of that cafe feeling like the sky had grown wider. Days turned into weeks, and something began to shift. Rayan's work ethic astonished everyone, and Arya found herself looking forward to the rare moments she'd see him in the halls. He was kind, humble, thoughtful, qualities she had forgotten existed in the scramble of corporate life. And Rayan, though intimidated, admired the fierce compassion hidden behind her powerful presence. They came from different worlds, yet somehow they understood each other. One sunny afternoon, Arya visited the company's community outreach event. She didn't expect to find Mira there, giggling as she painted a cardboard rocket ship. When the girl ran to Rayan, proudly showing her creation, Arya felt warmth blooming in her chest. Mira looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes and said, "Are you the lady who helped my dad?" Arya knelt, smiling softly, and Mira wrapped her arms around her without hesitation. That embrace changed something irreversible inside her. But every good story carries a twist. A rumor spread across news sites, CEO seen with warehouse employee, amid hiring bias speculations. Rayan panicked, fearing he had caused trouble for her. He even typed a resignation letter that night. When Arya found out, she rushed to his department, her steps echoing fiercely across the floor. She told him she didn't care what people said. What she cared about was truth, and the truth was that he mattered more than he realized. In that sunlit moment, surrounded by the clatter of workers and machinery, Rayan realized she wasn't saving him. They were saving each other. By the time the school year ended, their bond had grown steady and undeniable. Arya attended Mira's art fair, holding Rayan's hand in the bright afternoon light, no longer hiding from the world. Mira introduced them proudly as my dad and my friend Arya, who makes everything better, and in front of everyone, with courage he never thought he possessed, Rayan whispered that meeting her was the greatest accident of his life. Arya smiled, squeezing his hand, admitting that letting him stay in her car that day was the best decision she ever made. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Tales. Your support helps keep these emotional stories alive. Special request: comment second chances are real if you believe every act of kindness can change a life.